Now, I've just mentioned 4 different fundamental learning methods. So now I'm going to summarize all 4 into one method, okay, which I like to call the sphere method. And the sphere method, you can think of it as an apple, okay? And when you think of an apple, there's different layers to the apple. The skin, and then there is the flesh of the apple, and then the very center you have the core or the seed. And if anyone comes in and asks you what is the most important part of the apple, you would think and you say it's probably the seed. And why? Because it contains the most important information, because it contains the information to build the entire apple. And that's essentially what you need, that's the same mentality you need to use when you approach learning, and approach learning, especially learning very difficult concepts. So the first thing, basically, my learning method is broken down to 3 different strategies, okay? The first is known as identifying the core material. And then the second part is expanding on it in what I like to call expanding the flesh. And the third, and that's the very last, I call it on the skin layer, on expanding on the skin layer and whatnot. So let me just give you a quick description of how you would do a core material when it comes to the course. So here we have, here you're learning a lot of information all at once. A core material would be like you have is a certain topic, and what you would do is you would actually list all the different titles and all the different topics related to your main topic, and that would form your core. Now when you form your core, okay, your center core, the next step you need to do before you start expanding on the flesh is actually identifying which part of that core or which part of those topics are actually important. And there's 2 ways you can find to find out which topic is important, because, and the reason why you want to find out which topic is important, because these topics will be on the test, okay? That's why you need. And 2 very good strategies which I've used in the past and have worked really well for me is, 1, notice how many times your teacher mentions that topic, okay? She will mention it again, or he or she will mention it again and again and again. That's going to be on the test, okay? Topics that your teachers or your professors mention once, chances of them on being on the test, maybe, but not very high compared to these topics that they like to talk about. 2, the other way to gauge the importance of a topic is how much information is on the topic. If you have a topic that has 5, 6 different pages and other topics relating to it, it's probably a main topic. If it's a topic that people mention once, has no relationship to any other topic, that's probably a side topic that it's not on your priority list to study yet. Okay? So once you've identified which topic is important and which topic is most talked about, what you need to do now is essentially expand on those topics. Okay? When you expand those topics, now you start learning all the different main concepts. And what I like to do is that you have, say, like a title, a heading of a topic, then you start listing the summaries for that topic, like all the very simplified explanations for that topic, that if someone comes up to you and asks you, tell me something about this topic, you can easily say it, almost like a definition almost, okay? And once you've done all that and you have basically all the basic material which describes your topic, what you can do now is you can go to the other topics in your core, and you can start expanding them in that sense of manner. And usually what I like to do is that I like to expand topics which I don't do well at, or I don't know very well, okay? Because these topics are the ones I need to work on, or you need to work on, okay? Probably the topics I would spend the least time on is topics that are unimportant and topics that are easy, Those are probably it's obviously it's preference, but those are the topics that I would, which have less priority. And so essentially what you want to do is, to summarize, is you want to basically start expanding on important topics and topics you are not good at, okay? So once you've understood your core and expanded a bit on it, expanded a bit on flesh on almost everything, what you'll start seeing is connections, similarities, and you start seeing a very good overall picture. Okay? When you've done that, you can expand a bit more of the main concepts so that you have a broader understanding. And on all that, I would consider the flesh, okay, of your sphere. And what I like to tell my students, okay, is before you move on to the very third layer, which is called the skin and the detail, learn the core and the flesh inside out. Okay, master it, because the core and the flesh will get you 70 to 80%, and sometimes even 85% of the marks on a test. Those are the huge chunk of the test, and that's where your time is, okay? When you're in university, what you'll start realizing is that people don't ask you detailed, nitty questions, they ask you basic concepts. And if you master the core and just the basic flesh, basic information, okay, you will do very well. Once you've mastered it, and once you have, plenty of time, you're comfortable, and you can, output it no problem, the very third layer of the sphere is called the skin, okay, the skin. And the skin basically what it contains very detailed concepts like numerical values, dates, names of people. Those are detailed concepts that are not important to the actual flesh or to the actual topic, but it's a good addition. And the skin will give you marks ranging from 85 to 100. But like I said, don't do the skin or don't learn the detailed concepts before you've understood the main concept, because there's no way you can relate detailed concepts to the main if you haven't had a strong foundation or background and you don't know your basic concepts very well. And this is probably the most common mistake that people make, is that they learn details too early when they don't have the foundation. And what happens is that they actually remember details, but they've forgotten the main concept and they can't relate it. And that is the biggest problem that most students have. So I suggest when you start learning is that you focus on core concepts and the basic foundational explanations and definitions for them before you learn the details. And that will basically summarize up the sphere. And just one quick tip for you for learning the details of the third part of the sphere is take a white sheet of paper and list all the details. And take that white sheet of paper on the day of the exam and just memorize that on the day of the exam. And then just as you write down and you write your test, basically copy that piece of paper down. But not copy like, copying is cheating. What you want to do is you want to take that piece of paper, put it in your mind, and the moment the exam starts, you take a scrap sheet of paper in the exam and you rewrite it. And that way, it's the easy way, and then that way you don't have to memorize and commit it to long-term memory, and it will save you a lot of heartache. And that basically will conclude our segment on... Which segment is this? I don't know, but it will conclude this segment.